New Claude code. Update is insane. Claude Code Security explained. Your code has vulnerabilities right now, you just don't know about it yet. Most teams find out the hard way. A breach happens, data gets exposed, damage is already done. The old tools only catch the obvious stuff. The sneaky bugs, they slip right through. But something just changed. And if you write code or work with developers, you need to see this. Hey, I'm Julian. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're breaking down one of the most significant updates Anthropic has dropped for Claude Code. It's called Claude Code Security. It launched in a limited research preview on February 20th, 2026. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what it does, how it works differently from everything else out there, and how you can get early access. So stick with me, because the way this thing works is genuinely different from anything I've seen before. Let me set the scene first, because I think context really matters here. Security teams have a problem that nobody talks about enough. There are too many vulnerabilities in code and not enough people to find and fix them. The tools that exist right now help, but only to a point. They use something called static analysis, which basically means they look at your code and match it against a list of known bad patterns. Think of it like a spell checker. It catches the obvious mistakes, exposed passwords, old encryption methods, common injection flaws. But here's the thing, the dangerous stuff, the vulnerabilities that actually get exploited, they don't always look like known patterns. They're subtle. They depend on how different parts of your code interact with each other. They require someone to actually read and understand the logic of what your application is doing. That takes a skilled human security researcher, and those people are expensive, hard to find, and completely overwhelmed with backlog. So what Anthropic has done is essentially take the reasoning ability that makes Claude useful for understanding complex information and pointed it at your code base. And the results are pretty wild. I'll get to a specific example in a second, but first let me walk you through how it actually works, because this is where it gets interesting. Claude Code Security does three core things: scan, verify, patch. The scan phase is where Claude reads your code the way a human security researcher would, not by matching patterns, by actually understanding context. It traces how data moves through your application, it reads across multiple files, and thinks about what could go wrong based on how everything connects. Then comes the verify phase, and this is the part that I think is genuinely clever. Every single finding that Claude identifies goes through what Anthropic calls adversarial self-verification. That means Claude takes each result and actively tries to prove itself wrong. It challenges its own findings before they ever reach a human analyst. Why does this matter? False positives. If you've ever used a security scanner before you know the pain, it throws up hundreds of warnings and half of them are nothing. Developers start ignoring alerts because there are too many. Claude is specifically designed to filter that noise before it wastes your team's time. More real issues get surfaced, fewer false positives clog up the queue. And then the patch phase, this is where it closes the loop. Claude doesn't just tell you there's a problem, it suggests a fix, a targeted patch, one that is designed to maintain your code's existing structure and style. These findings all show up in a Claude Code Security dashboard where your team can review them. Claude gives each finding a confidence rating. It explains what the vulnerability is, why it matters, and what the suggested fix looks like. Now here is something I want to be really clear about, because it matters. Nothing gets applied automatically. Every patch requires human review and approval. The developer always makes the final call. Claude is doing the detective work and making the recommendation. Your team is still in control of what actually gets merged. That's a thoughtful design choice, and it's the right one. Now, let me give you the stat that stopped me when I read the Anthropic announcement. Using Claude Opus 4.6, which is their most capable model and was released earlier this month, Anthropic's own research team found over 500 vulnerabilities in production open source code bases. These were real bugs that had been sitting there for years, in some cases decades, surviving rounds of expert review without being caught. That is not a small number. And Anthropic says they are currently working through responsible disclosure with the maintainers of those projects. They also use this same approach to review their own code at Anthropic. They built Claude Code Security because they saw how effective it was internally and wanted to make it available more broadly. It also works with your existing security tools. This isn't a replacement for everything you already have. It's an addition to your stack. You can export findings to your existing security workflows. So if you've already built processes around certain tools, Claude Code Security layers on top and catches what those tools miss. When I first started diving deep into AI tools like this, I was genuinely overwhelmed by how fast things were moving. That's when I found a community called AI Profit Boardroom. Over 2,000 members all focused on learning AI together and sharing what actually works. It helped me understand which workflows actually save time versus which ones waste it. The community shares real use cases and practical implementations. If you're serious about using AI to improve your work and skills, check it out. Link in the description. All right, let's talk about who can access this right now and how to get in, because this is a limited research preview, not a full public launch. Claude Code Security is currently available to enterprise and team customers through Claude Code on the web. That's the web-based version of Claude Code, not just the command line tool. If you're already on one of those plans, you can apply for early access on the waitlist at claude.com/contact-sales-security. Anthropic is also offering free expedited access specifically for maintainers of open source repositories. If you maintain an open source project, this is worth applying for immediately. The reason they're calling this a research preview is important to understand. Anthropic wants to work directly with teams to refine the tool's capabilities and make sure it gets deployed responsibly. That dual use concern is real. The same ability to find vulnerabilities that helps defenders also helps attackers. By keeping this in a controlled preview, they can make sure they're putting this capability in the right hands first. And that brings up something worth thinking about for a second. We are in a genuinely pivotal moment for software security. Attackers will use AI to scan for exploitable weaknesses faster than has ever been possible before. That's just reality. The response has to be defenders moving faster too, finding those same vulnerabilities first, patching them before they get exploited. Claude Code Security is Anthropic's direct answer to that threat. If you work in a team that writes code, even if you're not the security person, this is the kind of update you want to bring to the table. Because the old approach of hoping your security scanner catches everything and then doing manual reviews on a backlog isn't keeping pace with how quickly attackers are moving. The shift happening in the industry right now is that AI is going from being a coding assistant to being a security research assistant. Writing code is one thing. Understanding all the ways that code could be exploited at scale across an entire code base is a different challenge entirely. And that's exactly where Claude Code Security is positioning itself. So, to pull this all together, Claude Code. Security reasons through your entire code base like a human researcher, catches what pattern matching tools miss, self-verifies every finding to cut false positives, and suggests patches your team reviews before anything gets applied. It's available in limited research preview for enterprise and team customers right now, with expedited access for open source maintainers, built on the same models Anthropic uses internally, which have already surfaced over 500 real vulnerabilities in production open source projects. If you're on a team or enterprise plan, the link to apply for access is claude.com/contact-sales-security. I will also put it in the description. If you're looking to go deeper on AI tools and actually implement them in your work, I recommend AI Profit Boardroom.